Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into a new video today. Today, we are getting into 5 bottles of whiskey that are sub $50. Before we get into that though, please do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Help us out with all those crazy YouTube-y things. Helps us out a ton, way more than I could ever put into words. So just do those. Helps us out. We appreciate it. But let's get into that video. So today we're talking 5 bottles of whiskey that are sub $50. The answer to this question, what's a great bottle sub $50, used to be like Wild Turkey Rare Breed, Old Forester 1920, like crazy ultra age MGP bottles, things of that nature, like blended MGP. That no longer exists. Most quality whiskey that's like that what we used to think was $50 is now like 60, 65, 70. So what are great bottles that are still sub $50? Like what's a bottle? Because sub $50 it's a manageable task for a lot of people. Like going and spending 65, 70, maybe $80 on a bottle, that takes a whiskey nerd or someone who's heavy into the whiskey game to feel comfortable doing that. So what are great bottles that are sub $50 that, you know, your average whiskey drinker or average whiskey consumer is more comfortable with spending? So this list is either bottles that I think are insanely good value or not everyone knows about them. They're not your super average basic like Maker's 46 or Old Forester 100, Wild Turkey 101, even though I think all 3 of those are fantastic value all in their own. These are bottles that kind of fall off the beaten path, or if they are from a big name brand, they don't have the recognition I think they truly deserved. So to kick it off, one that is probably one of the biggest whiskey producers in North America, potentially, I could be wrong statistically on that one, but Jim Beam. Huge label. Everyone knows Beam. Everyone who's a huge whiskey nerd knows the Beam flavor profile. This stuff is like $30 in my area, so super cheap, and it is a single barrel that is at 108 proof. Again, single barrel, so there could be some variation in barrel, but in mine I get like a very it's that Jim Beam nuttiness, but you also get a nice like bright fruit, like red fruits in there, and like just like an overall bright sweetness, which is really freaking good at 108 proof, especially for it only being $30 in my area. Fantastic value coming from, again, one of the hugest names in the whiskey industry. So moving on past that, going to yet another huge name in the whiskey industry. This is the last huge name in the whiskey industry, I promise. But we got Jack Daniel's Bonded. Another one which, if I may be completely honest, I didn't give this the greatest grade. I did not give this the greatest grade because I didn't love it at first. It took me a while, but now I'm like, I would say about halfway through this bottle, and it is fantastic. I've tried it blind, I believe, twice now, and it's killed it every time. This, I did a blind with a bunch of bottled and bond products, sub $50, you know, maybe a few going in like $60 range. This beat all of them, and it was one of the cheaper ones, only being $32 in my area or something like that. Again, 700 milliliter bottle, but a fantastic product coming from Jack Daniel's. This is that Jack Daniel's flavor profile just turned up to 100 proof. You know, it's really good. Super heavy on the bananas, so much bananas. So if you're not a banana fan, don't get that, but I'm a huge banana fan. I gave it a poor review, but if I'm being honest, I've come around to it. It's fantastic. And I haven't tried it, but I've heard the triple mash is also pretty fantastic. It's just not in my area yet, so I would also tack that on as kind of like an asterisk, you know? If you're not a huge fan of the Bonded, but you've tried the triple mash, maybe that's the one for you to kind of fit in this section of the list. But yeah, Both of those two are great products coming from Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. So those are kind of the ones where they're off the beaten path of everyone's go-tos, but they're fantastic offerings from big name distilleries. So moving on to lesser known distilleries. What are the smaller distilleries? What are they bringing at $50? That is fantastic. And to kick it off with no more than one of my favorite go-tos of all time, which is Redwood Empire Lost Monarch. This stuff is fantastic. And bright side, distribution getting much better nowadays. I don't know what's changed recently over the last few years for them, but distribution's getting better. It's becoming easier to find a solid crushable $35 bottle. And in case you haven't noticed a trend, most of these are like around $30. I don't know why. Sub $50, it's either like $49.99 or it's $30. I don't know. There's just, 40 even, 45. Nope, it's either $49.99 or $30 or $35. I don't get it. But this is a fantastic blended whiskey. So this is a burr rye. So it's a blend of a bourbon and rye mash bill together to create a fantastic crushable product. It's 90 proof and it's a blend of their own and I believe MGP sources off the top of my head that they blend their rye and bourbon, and it makes a like really good like sweet and spicy kind of balance. It's just a amazing balanced crushable American whiskey. It's fantastic. You cannot go wrong with pretty much any of the Redwood Empire products I've tried. They're all fantastic. The next one, which is a little on the newer end to me, but I've recently fell in love with them, Wilderness Trail Bottled in Bond. This stuff is amazing. It's freaking phenomenal. I've only ever tried the rye mash bill. You can tell off of the black label right here. This is a rye mash bill. If it's yellow, I believe that's their wheated mash bill. So that does play a significant role in the flavor profile, I would assume. But I can say the rye mash bill is amazing. I've tried both the small batch bottled in bond as well as the cash strength bottled in bond, which I have back there. They are amazing whiskey. They're sweet. It's so much vanilla, brown sugar, just sweetness, and like a nice like red fruitiness in there, which is amazing. This stuff is $48 or something like that in my local area, so it's just coming in under that $50 mark. But if you haven't tried out Wilderness Trail, definitely check them out. And if you have $50 and you want to buy a new bottle, I strongly encourage you to pick up some Wilderness Trail, because whatever they are doing, they are crushing it. And then last, but surely not least, extremely not least, honestly, outside of the Wilderness Trail bottle, maybe my favorite bottle. I would teeter between those two, of which one of these on the list I like the best, but got Sagamore Spirits Double Oaked Rye. And yes, this is a new bottle. Guess what? I killed the other bottle. This is amazing. Buy it. It's fantastic. So it is the Sagamore Spirits Rye, but then they double oak finish it. And again, yet another one where I did a review and I didn't love it in the review, but for some reason I drink it a lot. Like this is bottle number 3. And I don't really go for double oaked products very often, because there's double oaked usually gets this like weird woody drying thing for me, but this stuff is amazing. I crush these in the fall. This is a fall drink for me for sure. So I guess like summer's not really the time to be bringing it up, but this stuff is fantastic. And if you haven't tried out any Sagamore Spirits products, this is definitely one to try. And if you're looking to get into rye and you're a bourbon drinker, definitely give this a try. This is everything you would expect in a rye, but just like the burr rye from Redwood Empire, it's kind of more of like a sweeter rye. That double oaked brings out a lot of brown sugar sweetness on top of that already kind of herbaceous spicy notes that you get on a ride product. So that's my list of 5 bottles that are sub $50 that I think are fantastic, and you should be picking them up if you haven't done so already. And I'm sure there's 1,000 other products, but that's just a list of some of the few I have in my bar that I think are fantastic bottles sub $50. So please do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what's something sub $50 that you think that should be on this list. Nothing that's like super big name, unless if it's kind of like a non-trendy big name, kind of like the Jim Beam single barrel. Like, no one cares about that. It's a plastic screw top, but it's so good. I don't know why. It's much better than Old Grandale 114 in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Also, check out the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Patreon. The links for all that stuff are down there below. We appreciate you so much for all the support. Cheers. We'll see you later.